Good, yourself?
It's good. It's good. Thank you so much for hopping on here. Appreciate it, dude.
Oh, thanks for having me, man. This is exciting.
Yeah, same here. I know you've been super busy. I've been following along. I don't know how you find time to hop on here with me, but um, it's awesome, dude. I think you're in Wyoming, correct?
Yep,
Which
I'm
part?
in I'm in the northeast part in Gillette, Wyoming.
Okay, okay. My cousin lived like smack dab in the middle of the state for a couple of years, 5 or 6 years ago. Can't
Oh, no
remember.
kid.
Riverton, is that a place?
Yeah. Yep,
Yeah.
Riverton.
Yeah, he was on the suburbs of Riverton. If I guess that's I'm talking about it as if it's like some sort of a city or something like that. I think it was pretty small, but
Yeah, uh it's a town. That's for sure.
yeah.
So,
So are you born and raised Wyoming?
yep, born, raised, moved out of here for a year in elementary for to Wisconsin and then moved right back. So,
Okay, okay. Yeah, man, a lot I want to dive into. I think we connected. I can't remember if maybe I had come across your stuff or you had come across mine, but you had sent me a message, I think, on a post or something that I had put up around shooting a bow. And you were like, hey, man, if you ever, want to chat, kind of offered your expertise, which I greatly appreciated. And from that moment on, I started really keeping an eye on what you were up to. And I think it was like right before you went on that really big, like, what was it, like a 25, 28-day elk hunt earlier in September?
28 days.
Jesus
Yep.
Christ.
I hunted did some type of hunting 28 days out of 30 in September. I only took 2 days off.
Jesus. So how much of that time are you spending out in the wilderness?
Um luck I honestly I don't think I would have been able to do it if we wouldn't have had a base camp. So I spent most of my time in a base camp, and that was in my old little 1977 trailer that has windows leaking and everything like that. But you know, out of those out of those 28 days, uh, every morning and every evening, I was out hunting. I think there was one morning that we slept in, and that was like on the 25th or 26th day, and I was just exhausted. But
Yeah, no, I think it goes without saying, like, this is your life, and maybe we back up and kind of like set the stage for this whole thing. So you're a landowner. You live in Wyoming. You're a
yep,
landowner. You're what I would consider. I think you could call yourself a backcountry athlete.
yep,
Um, and this is kind of like everyday life for you, from what I've seen, right? So
yeah. The From August 15th to November 31st, I am I have from my regular job, I have 14 days off a month. And usually about 12 of those 14 days, no matter what, are spent out doing some type of hunting, fishing. And mainly I go. It's And then luckily, this September, I was offered to be able to take the entire month off, and had had enough money saved in the bank account and no responsibility. So I kind of told them I'll take it, and I left work for 30 days.
that's nice, man. So are you spending that time like on your own private land, or are you hunting public land?
Nope, I had 95% of my hunting's all public. I get an antelope tag for my area every year, and an antelope tag for my buddy's ranch, and about and that's about it. Everything else is all public land. Uh, it's not that I have anything against private land hunting. I love going out on private land, man. It makes my day if I can get access to it.
Mm-hmm.
But just the public land, it's something. It's another level of achievement when you're able to take an animal, and especially a quality animal off of public land. Uh, it's just something else.
how many acres of public land are accessible for, and you, I guess, do you have access to public lands across state lines as well? Cause you're in that Northeast corner.
Uh, yeah, we can, as long as you get the correct licensing and everything like that, we jump borders and hunt. Mainly, if I do any type of out of state hunting, it's usually predator hunting, and most of the time there you don't have to buy any tags. You kind of just hook up with some buddies and go. I've yet to do a full. Well, that's a lie. I've done a couple. I've done a hog hunt and some snow geese hunting and pheasant hunting out of state, but other than that, I usually stick to Wyoming, man.
Yeah. It seems like the most desolate remote place in the country. I mean, that's when I'm looking at the map, I was like, I'm pretty sure he's in Wyoming. And I called my cousin up and was asking him some questions about it. But I mean, you're up there, like right in grizzly territory too, right? I mean, you have a lot of
uh,
bear in your area, or is that more central?
that's more western and northwestern. We're blessed right now, anyways. We don't have a grizzly population where I hunt.
Okay.
They travel through every once in a while. We've had a couple, sighted here and there every other year or so. But they're slowly making their way. We have wolves now. I was within 200 yards of a wolf this elk hunting season. I let out a bugle and he let out a howl.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, uh, if I wouldn't have had my pack goats with me, I would have gone after him. But
Now, I just saw something today, actually. Speaking of wolves, I think, did I read correctly that the current administration lifted the ban or removed them from endangered?
we've had it. So uh, there's multiple states with wolves, and there's multiple states with actual seasons now and tags, including Wyoming. Uh, Actually, Wyoming doesn't even have tags, if I remember right. 100 yard or 100 miles outside of Yellowstone, they're considered a predator, so they're shoot on sight.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so hence why I was, thinking about going after a wolf. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, they're, you know, uh, that's a rabbit hole to dive into. But they're one of the most like perfect built machines in the world. Uh, a lot of people have an absolute hatred for them, and personally, I have an absolute respect for them. They're amazing creatures. One day I would really like to just watch them work, but they do need to be managed. If they don't, there's areas in Wyoming right now where we've had to almost close down moose hunting because they've killed almost all the moose in there.
Wow.
And so yeah, it's fine line between people that want them all gone and people that want them managed, but they're cool animals, that's for sure.
Yeah, I've never seen one in person other than like in captivity, unfortunately. But I've seen some videos because I'm the same way. I watch wolves and I'm just fascinated with the intelligence that you see amongst the pack and how they hunt, and as well as just like the physical attributes that they have with how they kind of are, without any issue, like just blow right through waist deep snow piles and just, keep going. It's fucking incredible.
Yeah, they're something else. Yeah, one day I'll be able to take one, and it'll be a pleasure, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, we have a ton. Like I'm in Pennsylvania, we have coyotes everywhere
Hmm.
up here, and I mean it's gotten to be a point where I'll drive, down the state highway, and they'll be sitting there on the side of the road just eating a dead deer carcass, and cars driving by. It's pretty wild. They get fairly large this side. I've seen them out in
Hmm.
the Southwest, and they're super small. Not very big at all. But the ones up here, they're, and people say a lot that they're coy wolves or some sort of like hybrid type in a lot of cases, but whatever they are, they're big enough to take the dog out if you leave them outside without paying attention for too long.
Yep, exactly. I have hell, I think I've killed four off my back deck pretty much. since I've been out, lived out in the country, and I hunt them every year. I love coyote hunting. That's just another joy I have, after November ends, starts December, January, and February, and usually then I'm out coyote hunting.
Yeah. Now, so you go out, you're 28 days in the wilderness. How far into the backcountry are you going on a hunt like that? Because I know you had said you covered like 150 miles in total.
Yep. I put on roughly 150 boot miles. Usually, most of my hunts I'd average about a 3-mile walk in and give or take a 3-mile walk out. So, and I think my longest hike in was probably close to 5 miles. And, when I'd hunt it, I'd pick an area on the map. I had a huge area to cover. I pick an area on a map almost every day, and I'd say, let's walk in here until it gets too hot or we don't find anything, and we'll make a loop back. And so I just, go and start walking and walking and walking, and eventually, it either in the early September, it got too hot to where I didn't want to shoot anything. And they just would quiet down. And so I just loop back and make my way back and do it all over again, starting that evening once it cooled down again.
Yeah. So you're playing all the thermals and kind of watching your winds and planning your pattern across the land really according to nature.
Yep. Had to, and when you're up there that long, you start just remembering, you just remember, your walk in one day and you go, you know what? I remember about 3 days ago, I was walking this type of terrain from 7:30 to 9. The wind was coming from the northeast. And so you'd walk, and sure enough, you'd have a northeast wind walking in. Okay, I got till about 9:30 to hunt this wind, and then it's going to switch to the south to go to our midday wind. And sure enough, come about 9:30, 10 o'clock, it switch, south or the east, and you'd be making your loop back, hunting the wind. So once you start living up there for a long period of time, it's like it becomes a home in a way, and it's just like, I can tell you the exact wind I'm going to have out my back door every morning and every night. And it was the same thing,
Yeah.
I just was able to learn the country so much and so in depth over 28 days of just walking and hiking, and just learn the terrain. And I don't know, by the time I came out of it, it was one of the more surreal feelings, actually staying more than one day in town. You kind of just, I don't know, it made me a better hunter, that's for sure. Every time I go out now, I'm able to pick up some amazing things. And yeah, it was crazy 28 days, that's for sure.
Oh man, I commend it. So, the reason you even saw me shooting a bow is, a couple reasons, right? I appreciate the discipline. I've been shooting a little over a year now, like consistently every day, trying to get out. I've got a 3D down like 50 yards in my backyard. And then I've got another target a little shorter than that, that I practice on. And we were planning, my brother and I, heading out to Idaho to St. Joe's National Forest to do a public land hunt. And you're going to laugh. So he and I had never hunted before. All right. So I'm like the mindset of, well, fuck, like going sitting in a tree stand around here in Pennsylvania. If we're going to get good at this, let's go out and actually experience it. And, all my buddies thought I was crazy, and family and friends who hunt, they're like, you're biting off way more than you guys can chew. And maybe that's the case. And COVID kind of put a damper because of a number of things to get us out to Idaho for a trip that long. But it's certainly on the bucket list for next September to go out and either, I'd love to go to St. Joe's, maybe Colorado, kind of feeling out where the best is, but it seems like public lands are getting a lot of attention. Or when you're out in Wyoming, in 28 days, are you running into a lot of people out there, or are you kind of isolated for the better part of that whole time?
Luckily, if you were on the roads, any type of dirt road, I mean, it was thick as thieves. You couldn't drive, 500 yards without having to pull off the side of the road for a four-wheeler or something like that. But we had a guy come into camp, and we were talking with him about elk and everything, and he said, yeah, I call it the magic mile. Kind of like, what the hell is a magic mile? He goes, you walk in a mile and there's no one. Well, you're not wrong, because every single time I'd walk in any place, there was nobody. The only time I ever saw people when I was out hunting was usually when I was getting back to my truck or when I was getting back into camp. That's the only time we'd ever see people. So it's just like, as soon as you cover that mile, and you're home free. But then every once in a while you run into that hardcore guy that's been up there for days or something like that too, and is consistently hunting 3-4 miles in every single day. And those are the guys you want to hunt around or with, because
just going to say that it's like, if they're willing to go and do that, that's the company you want to be around. You're not really worried about somebody playing some sleazy games on you, but
exactly.
Oh, that's really cool. I mean, and that's kind of the whole purpose behind Cam Hanes and his training regimen. I'm sure you follow a lot of that. I mean, being the kind of individual that you are and everything, but I mean, he's preached, from what I've heard, like, I train my ass off so that I can go places where other people won't go. And that's why I'm as successful as I am. It's not just because I shoot really well. I'm going and finding those bulls that nobody finds.
Yep. I was actually really hoping you'd bring up Cam Hanes too. In all reality, he has done more for the bow hunting and hunting community, especially for Western hunters, than probably anyone has in decades. The dude has my utmost respect, and he puts in the work. Every single animal that he's taken over his bow hunting career, which I think has been close to 30 years or something like that, or over that, the dude deserves every single one of those. So yeah, he's an awesome dude. I follow him. He puts in more work than I sure do. The guy is driven, and I one day, if I can ever meet Cam, I'd love to just sit down with him and have a soda or something and hang out and just talk with him, because the guy, and mainly just thank him, because the guy has just done so much for bow hunters. And people bash on him now, because the dude he goes and hunts, coveted tags. He hunts down on the reservation down in Arizona. He kills a 400-inch bull every year. The motherfucker deserved it. I mean, he was shit. The guy was driving 4 or 5 hours in the dark to hike in on a weekend hunt, backcountry hunt, hikes all his gear in, shoots an animal if he even sees one, and hikes out and goes to work the next day, So I don't care what anyone has ever said or will say about him. He's done more for bow hunters, and has given a lot of people a great outlet. So
he's made it approachable for me. I grew up in northwestern Pennsylvania, so state forest, a lot of whitetail, and I did some hunting really young. And then as I got into sports in high school, it just became kind of like an afterthought. It wasn't my passion. It wasn't really where I spent my time. and it always fascinated me. But then as I got older, I don't know, I felt like there was a stigma around hunting, or at least there was from my perspective. And he's kind of broke that. And I feel like the people who I was maybe, shying away from reaching out to ask tips, to have conversations like this, he kind of put it out there like, this should be something you're asking. You should be like making this a passion. It's not just some secret club. Everybody should come and bow hunt. And when you hear that, it was like, oh, well, fuck. Yeah. Like let me go and look. And then I started like getting more into it. And then I'm, watching every episode of Meat Eater podcast on YouTube, and like just going on and on from there, and then ultimately I'm doing a podcast and having you on because, the way you're doing it really fascinates me. And I have so many questions, but no, I mean, you are so right. Cam is a national treasure. I was pumped. I shared a video from my Tim Kennedy podcast, and I saw Cam shared it. And then I woke up the next morning and he was following my account. I was like, holy shit, like
I saw that too, man. I was like, shit, I'm jealous.
Yeah. Now he probably has no idea who the hell I am, but it's that cool little bump when you need it, right? It's
Yep.
always when I tune in and I'm like, oh, today's a long day. And then I see him, he's like running to the top of the mountain. He shows his running app and he's got 18 miles in that day. And then you see he's up at 4 the next morning and he's on his way to Colorado to run with somebody and then go hunt.
Yeah. I don't know. I love his motto, lift, run, shoot, but mine's more like lift, walk at a leisurely pace and shoot. I'm not a runner, man. It's I tell people, if you see me running, you better start running too, because something's big
behind.
after
me. Yeah. No, that's so true. So it's far, like I see you're always doing the fitness stuff. What kind, was it hunting that got you into that, or was it something else as far as like just a life change that you wanted to make and it benefited hunting?
Last year, like I'd always been in the gym, from high school and on, and I always, stayed in decent shape. But last year I was elk hunting, and I found a bull. I mean, really, really hard area to even find elk in. It's taken me almost 6 years to find these elk. I finally found an elk, and I was like, wow, that's a nice bull. And he is 2 miles away right now, and I have an hour left of sunlight. I better get moving. So I had just pretty much ran through this canyon, up, down draws, trying not to fall down into the canyon. Finally got up on this slope that they'd been feeding on. I'm dying. I'm trying to breathe, creep over the edge, and I see the elk right there, and they're milling around. And I'm trying to catch my breath. Finally, get my breath caught. And this is when I was videotaping my hunts. So I was trying to get the camera on it by myself, trying to get the gun ready, trying to find the bull that'll actually stand still. And finally got a shot off and shot my bull and realized where I was. And it's kind of one of those moments where you scratch your head and you're like, oh my God, I am in deep right now. So I was actually able to get service, and I called a friend, and he got horses in. He brought horses the next day. But during that whole time, I had walked back and forth, and finally on my walk out, I started cramping up and everything like that. And kind of make a long story short, the day after we got the elk out, finally, after almost getting horses stuck back there and everything like that, I was laying in bed and I hurt so bad. I just hurt so freaking bad. And I was laying there. I was like, if I wouldn't have been able to get horses in there with the shape I'm in right now, I would not have gotten that elk out without losing meat. So then I kind of went on a journey in a way to find a program that I wanted to stick with, and was able to, and finally started looking around, found some workouts I really liked, found a company I really liked, and they provided me with workouts and nutrition and everything like that. And just been on that journey ever since, and started just grinding. Last April, I really kicked it into gear and just completely switched my lifestyle around. And I tell you what, after that switch,
Notice
there's
the difference.
oh God, there's nothing. And I'm I'm gonna brag a little bit here, but there's nothing that can fucking stop me in the woods right now. It's just, yeah, with the mental change that everything happened, the physical change, I put on a new, completely changed, flipped around my lifestyle, man. And from pretty much April till now, it's been almost every day in the gym. I mean, count my food down to the gram. I, track macros, weight lift, hike, hunt, and it has made the difference.
Well, I mean, think about it, right? If you're doing any type of athletic activity and you want to actually compete, you want to compete playing basketball, you want to compete in mixed martial arts, you're not going to just show up the week that you're going to do it and expect to be successful, right? And so I always did find that odd that a lot of the people that I knew who hunted were extremely out of shape. They didn't really practice their craft, but they looked forward to it all year long. But in hindsight, it was really more like heading out to hunting camp and partying with the boys, which is its own set of fun. But I don't think that you don't have to be able to have that with being in shape. And, to your point, you're out, you have base camp. But I think the problem is when you're with a bunch of other people who don't share that same mindset, and you've got like 3 or 4 hunting buddies that you go to camp with every year and they're not in shape, do you want to be the outcast, and are they going to be able to keep up with you now? And, it just kind of keeps you doing the same old, same old.
Yeah. I, I hunt alone anymore because of that reason. I'll go out and hunt with friends and everything like that, and I enjoy it, but 80 to 90% of my hunting is by myself, and that's mainly because I don't have to worry about anyone else. If I'm going to push, I don't have to worry how far I can push someone else. I just have to worry how far I can push myself. And so that just, yeah, I just have to, I almost always have to hunt by myself anymore. And in all reality, I love doing that too. It adds a complete, extra level to the hunt. Because then when you end up shooting something by yourself, you're sitting there and you're like, oh man, now I'm really in a mess.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, I mean, you shoot a full grown, I mean, I'm trying to think where you're at. What do they get to, like 700-800 pounds?
Oh God. Yeah, a big bull, a mature bull probably go about 700 pounds, 800 pounds.
So how long is that taking you to pack out on your own? Just to quarter it up and get yourself prepared to start the trek back.
I think because let's see, me and a buddy did 2 elk yesterday, and let's see, we killed them at 11 and we were out of there by 3:30. So me and a buddy did 2 elk in like 4.5, 5 hours. We didn't pack them very far, thankfully, but by myself, I can usually have one quartered out in an hour and a half. And the pack out all just depends on the terrain. Man, if I would, the bull I shot this year, if I would have had to pack him out by myself, it would have been probably an 8-9 hour day. Thankfully, I still had the guys at camp on the last day of season. They hadn't left me yet, so I drug their asses down to the elk, and we got him out. But yeah, just depending on the terrain and how far I decide to walk in, usually depends on how long it takes me to pack something out.
Do you follow Adam Greentree at all?
Oh, dude, I love that guy.
He's so much fun to watch, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a blast. Did you see his elk hunt in Colorado a couple years ago?
Yeah, yeah, the one where he made like what was it, 3 or 4 trips in and out. He was like, was it, like 7 or 8 miles?
Oh, I think, yeah, he was like, I can't remember what it was, but yeah, he was way back in there for 18 days.
Yeah, is that
Solo
when he
for
saw the
18
grizzly
days.
and he took those
Yeah, when
photos with the bear that was standing up, kind of like through the mist? You could kind of see it was dusk out, and I think he
yep.
had a handgun and he had a bullet in it, but it was the wrong bullet, and he didn't realize it at the time. But if he would have fired, it would have not fired.
Oh man, that was that whole thing kind of was, I don't know, he tried to prove to the Colorado Game and Fish, he's like, you guys have grizzlies here.
Yeah.
They said, no, we don't. And he's like, look at this picture. That is a grizzly. That's not a black bear. And said, no, we don't.
How accurate do you think like state game is on stuff like that? So like up in this neck of the woods, there's bobcats, there's fishers and stuff like that. But as far as mountain lion, the consensus is that they are not in northwestern Pennsylvania. However, my aunt and uncle live on the outskirts of our town. Bradford is like right on the New York state line, and pretty remote in nature, right? They live on the outskirts of that town, and they moved into a new house with a large wooded area behind them. And my aunt has on videotape what looks clearly to be a mountain lion walking on the edge of their property. And they've talked to people about it, and there was, some dispute. Well, it's not what it is. It's just the angle, or it looks bigger than it really is. But I mean, it looks like a fucking mountain lion, I mean, what would your thoughts be on something like that?
They're dead wrong on their numbers. Pretty much, I've always kind of considered, if, especially with predators, okay, any game and fish agency is very, very iffy on that, because predators are a huge subject in the anti-hunting world. So you'll have people like, if someone spots a grizzly bear in the Bighorn Mountains of Wyoming, you'll have, people fight left and right. Nope, grizzlies aren't here. Grizzlies aren't here. Same thing, with wolves. It took them years to admit, and they still won't admit, there's wolves in the Bighorns. There's wolves. I've cut multiple tracks. I've had one howl 200 yards from me, They don't like telling people, that there's big scary animals out there, because if they do, that some of their revenue might disappear. A lot of times I think it's just mainly because if those animals spread out into a wider range and a bigger area, they have to start doing something about them. And that means managing them, and that means fighting with anti-hunting. Exactly. It's we've had this fight with the grizzly bears for years. Grizzly bears have become severely overpopulated in the western Wyoming, Montana, into Idaho. You ask anyone that hunts the areas, and they say the lower 48 grizzlies are the most aggressive grizzlies that you'll ever run across. And it's because we can't hunt them. It's because they have no fear of humans. Um, and we tried to delist them a couple years ago, and a federal judge shut Wyoming down.
What's the reasoning behind that? Do they give a reason that makes any sense?
Emotional. It's it's politics, man. You touch someone's emotions, and all facts go out the windows.
Mm-hmm. They're dealing with that in British Columbia, aren't they? Like a lot of people
Yep.
in BC, it's starting to become like a really liberal city, and they have no understanding of bears, and that the people who live in, British Columbia, they're dealing with something that these people are just ignorant to. And so they look
Yep.
at this as like fluffy bear, what is that term called? Anamorphosis, or I don't know, I'm fucking it up, but where you kind of look at animals as they appear on television,
Mm-hmm. People, people in cities see Winnie the Pooh. They see Winnie the Pooh. They see the teddy bear that they cuddled as a child. Man, if you've ever seen a grizzly take down an elk, it's not. It's one of the most terrifying and luckily I haven't ever had to watch it in person. I've seen videos. That grizzly drowning the elk in Yellowstone a couple months ago is just a perfect representation of their power. You take that and put it in a populated area, and however we want to argue it, more and more people are getting closer and closer to habitat, and you have more and more incidences that way. The only way to protect these bears is to actually manage them. If you put a price on an animal, and it's been proven over in Africa, if you put a price on an animal, they're actually praised and kind of worshipped in a way. Mm-hmm. If we don't manage and put a price on a grizzly bear, eventually people are just going to start shooting them and shutting up about it. And then you have the grizzly bears go back on the extinction list. We're fighting to get grizzly bears populations back up again. And it's just a vicious cycle over again. They start, running rampant and attacking people, and anything happens.
It's one of those unpopular truths though, right? I mean, I don't feel good thinking about somebody shooting a lion or an elephant or some sort of big gigantic game that's really only achievable because they spent $50,000 to go over and do it. But the reality is that money is used in a variety of ways to help those very impoverished little communities where otherwise that animal is going to be killed anyways by a local farmer who's pissed off that the elephant's been stomping on all of his crops. And so, yeah, I know it's like heartbreaking to some people to hear that, but you got to live in reality. And to your point, the same thing's going to start happening with grizzly bears because they become a nuisance.
Yep.
I mean, you see coyotes, right? I mean, it's a different animal, but it's the same principles.
Exactly. And it's one of those things where, there's some subjects in this world that you can totally rely on emotion to figure out. But science and especially environmental and animals and stuff like that, the only way we'll ever have a consistent population of any animal, any species, is to actually rely on data, biologists, and we're paying good money to the states for our game and fish and their biologists to do this research and tell us if we need to harvest more animals or if we need to harvest less animals. And if people rely all on emotion about that, the animals are eventually just going to die off from disease, starvation, and especially in bears will kill cubs to bring a female back into heat. So that's once you start getting more boars, then you start getting more cubs mortality rate. And then you start getting less animals.
So
So
where do you lie on reintroduction? You know, because we're sitting here talking about wolves a minute ago, and a big reason that the wolf problem is what it is because of the reintroduction into the wild, right?
yes. So the wolf reintroduction was done completely wrong. Uh, they I believe let me state it this way. I believe fully in reintroduction of species that were here. Mm-hmm. The problem with the wolves is they reintroduce the wrong wolf species. They brought in Canadian wolves and bigger wolves. So if you look back in pictures from the 18 and early 1900s of wolves coming out of Wyoming, they're roughly 80-pound dogs, 90 pounds. So give or take a medium-sized German Shepherd. The wolves they're killing now are 120, 130. A big alpha males pushing 150, 60 pounds. So if they reintroduce the correct wolves, I would 100% for it. And what happens when you reintroduce a different species to the environment is they have the same killing instincts that they had in their environment, the environment that supported them, the one with, a very high moose population, high caribou population. The elk and moose population in the lower 48s cannot sustain a alpha predator like that is used to eating moose and having caribou herds at its disposal.
How many full-grown moose or elk is a pack of wolves taking down in a given week? I mean, is it every night they're taking one, or is it a couple a week?
Per wolf, it averages about 11. What is it? 11 elk a year. So one per month per wolf.
And these packs are what, like 15?
Anywhere from usually, western side of the state where they're more abundant, you're looking from 8 to 15. When they start moving around, you're looking at 1 to 6 really. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's just, and God, I feel bad for the poor boys in Idaho. I really do. The wolves just boomed over there because they had keyword here, a great elk population, which they still do. They still have good elk numbers, but the wolves just boomed over there, killed a ton of elk. In a lot of areas, the elk are silent. You won't hear a bugle all of September. And I remember a story about a guy that was cow calling. He was cow calling. He was hunting in Idaho, and he called in a pack of wolves. And he ended up killing 4. He just kept cow calling. He cow called and killed a wolf. Cow called, killed a wolf. Just called in 4, a pack of wolves. And that's what I mean. The elk are super smart animals. Mm-hmm. And they naturally adapted really, really fast to the wolf pressure. So they don't talk anymore. They'll come into a call, but they won't talk. You have a lot of guys that just, they say they haven't heard or anything from an elk for years.
Yeah, that's the feedback that I got. I tried to do just my own research. I asked around, was trying to find like the best public lands to hunt on. I looked at Colorado. The feedback that I was kind of getting there was it was just where everybody was going to hunt public land. So it was going to be extremely populated, and then I started looking. I'm like, okay, Idaho, it seems like it's a place where maybe not a lot of people are going to go. There's over 1 million acres, very dense. But then as you start diving deeper into like chat room forums, and I would ask some questions and people are like, you're insane. Like you're going you're going into some wilderness that's really difficult to terrain. So if you've never done it before, you're going to be surprised, and you're going to have a hard time finding elk that are responsive to you because of that wolf pressure. And then instantly my mind's like, well, fuck that. I just, I don't even want to come across a wolf. Like, so then we started like thinking maybe Colorado is the place to go. I think we're kind of open to suggestions and maybe changing up the strategy for next year. But
Yeah. I with my fitness stuff, I do help a lot of people that are getting ready for hunts and stuff like that too. I help them get on track. I had quite a few people going to Colorado this year, and I talked to them after their hunts. And it was like, "How was the hunt?" He goes, "Man, there wasn't a ridge that wasn't covered with humans."
mm-hmm.
When you're there for almost a week and you see more humans than you do elk, that's that's a rough hunt.
Mm-hmm.
It's especially and Colorado. I Colorado's game and fish is they're very money driven. So out of state tags bring in a lot of revenue for Colorado. So they have multiple seasons. You're looking at first archery, second archery, muzzleloader, first rifle, second rifle, third rifle. And I mean, their seasons go for months. And so these animals are just pressured and pressured and pressured. And they give out a ton of tags. So there's always a ton of people down there. And I mean, I'd like you, I'd love to, go on an out of state trip, especially down to Colorado. But man, the hunting pressure down there anymore is so unreal from everyone I've talked to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get, and it's almost back to your comments about Cam Hanes. A lot of that is because of his popularization of the sport. And so I think it goes back to your point, like he's drawn all these people out to hunt on the lands that he's had all the success with. So I think it allows maybe a little consideration for him to go on some of this private land and be able to keep doing what he does, right?
Yeah. Man, it's a curse and a blessing. And especially when it comes to social media influencers, and just influencers in general. It's an absolute curse and a blessing because, Cam Hanes, Joe Rogan, Jocko, I mean, that whole group of guys, they're doing something great. They're promoting, the healthy, organic hunter lifestyle. But on the flip side of that, what you get is you get a lot of new people coming into the hunting world. And that just puts in one is a lot of people don't have experience doing it. They don't have family members that do it. They don't have anyone to teach them the basics of hunting or anything. So a lot of times you do have people that push animals and they pressure them and they hunt with the wrong wind, and they learn, they have to learn through their mistakes. But in the end, a lot of times that just makes it miserable for everyone else.
It's like sitting down
Then,
at the blackjack table and having some asshole hit on 17.
exactly. And and I was actually just talking about this yesterday with my hunting friend, and I was talking to go, you know, the the technology has been one of the biggest blessings and one of the biggest curses in the hunting world. One, it's been able to show millions of people that we aren't just out there to kill Winnie the Pooh. We love eating, and we love these animals more than anything else, and they provide us with sustenance. On the flip side of that, technology has also ruined a lot of good hunting spots because you have like GPS and stuff like that, like Onyx maps, that you don't have your honey holes anymore. Everyone per honey hole is like 5 people.
No, it's so true. It's so true. How much? So, this, I was super pumped to have this conversation because I've been doing nothing but talk about politics. But I do have to ask, like, upcoming election, are there implications for this election as far as it pertains to public lands and, how things continue to move forward for hunting? Because I know Steve Ranella does a great job highlighting a lot of issues. I know they talked about the wetlands up in Minnesota a lot. Uh, but you being someone who's really immersed in that, I was curious how things at a federal level are impacting you.
Um, well, this administration has opened up more public lands. Um, I can't remember the exact numbers, and don't quote me on this, but it's opened up more public lands since the actual national forest or national parks uh, bill. So I mean, multiple millions of acres have been opened during this administration. Along with that, uh, Donald Trump Jr. is a huge advocate of hunting and fishing and stuff like that. He's a great hunter. Um, Now, on the flip side of that, I don't necessarily know if that is a concern or a priority for either party right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I wish it would be, and I personally think we need way more protection on our public lands and um, way more public lands opened up. There's so much landlocked and corner pieces and stuff like that that just aren't open to the public that, I mean, we pay taxpayer money for. We pay taxpayer money for these state and federal lands, and we can't use them because they're landlocked.
Well, and I don't want to
Um,
generalize on this, but from the little bit of investigating that I've done on this specific topic, those funds are typically managed the best. When you look at federal dollars and programs that are spent, I'm not saying that other programs aren't run well, and I'm not saying every, conservation dollar is spent properly, but it seems to be very regulated well, right? I mean, wouldn't be a
yep,
bad
it
place to
is.
make money.
Yeah, it's a great fund because actually it's written into law that it cannot be used for anything else other than um, the wildlife and natural resource management of those areas. So it is, like you said, it is one of the most managed and correctly used funds that the government has. Uh, but like like I said, I mean, they can always be doing something more to help the national forest, to help the public lands, to help hunters and fishermen. And I'd love to see, more from whichever party gets elected. I'd love to see more lands opened up. I'd love to see more uh, people get into actually have the knowledge and be able to learn more about the natural resources that come from the public lands. And, um, in all reality, this whole COVID pandemic uh, brought to light more people into the public or the hunting and fishing and outdoor space, mainly because that's a lot of people, that was the only thing they could do, was they could go outside and they could go hiking and camping and stuff like that. um, so if there is a silver lining to that whole BS, that would be it opened up people's eyes to how beautiful our wildlife in our nation's national parks and how amazing grasslands are and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's it certainly has changed my perspective. Like it kind of disrupted my plans, but what it did do is it validated what my thought process was on being more self-sustaining. I went to the grocery store today and I bought some steak, but it's, you can't escape where that meat came from and how it probably was processed. So, knowing that I can go out, collect my own food, do it in a way that's as humane as humanly possible. And then you challenge yourself while you're doing it. Like, I want that challenge. And again, I'm speaking as if I've gone out. I'm not the one that spent 28 days out in the wilderness. I haven't shot an elk yet, but that is on the 1 year bucket list, man. I'm hopeful that I can be successful next year, but
Oh yeah.
knowing that I got a freezer stocked full of meat would feel really good when people are jam packed at the grocery store stealing everything,
Yeah. And I've, it just tastes that much better. For anyone listening that has never had wild game and has never been on a hunt, if you have a friend, family member, anyone that does it, I highly recommend just going and joining, and just helping with the process. And that meat tastes better than anything else. It tastes better than a $50 steak from any steakhouse, just because you saw the process, you knew what happened, you were there, you took care of the meat. There's just nothing like it. It's the best meat in the world, and I necessarily don't think it's because of the flavor. I think it's because of the process that goes into putting that meat on the table for you.
No, it definitely has a different taste, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
wild game, it's a little bit different. You don't have that fat; it's very lean,
Yep.
but there's emotion in it, right? And I think when people understand how their food is processed, I think about a couple of people who I know that they weren't being overly critical, but they were being critical of hunting, right? But they're the type of people who, when I go out to eat with them, they'll throw, a fourth of their plate away because they're full, meat included, and I think about the people who I know who've spent time in the woods, worked hard to get their food. There's not a chance in hell that they would allow that to go in the garbage can. And so it's a lack of perspective, ignorance in its true form. But, when you really take a step back and you think about it, not the type of people that you should be criticizing,
No. Uh, that's it's just that it's just taking the processing industry has taken the emotion out of eating pretty much. And so when you don't have any connection to that meat, uh, you don't care about it really.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you what, after you shoot an animal for the first time, you'll never look at a piece of steak, the same.
Mm-hmm.
And you really learn how to appreciate animals for what they are. You know, like I said, a lot of people have criticized me for being a hunter. They, how can you kill an innocent animal? How can you go do that? And I've looked at them. I go, I don't necessarily enjoy killing animals. I really don't. What I do enjoy is I enjoy knowing where my meat came from. I enjoy the adventure that I was able to have on it, and the memories I was able to make. And I enjoy being able to provide for myself. So they don't have that emotion when it comes to their meat. Their steak is just a steak. It's a slab of meat. It's not a cow. Well, when I think of my steak, it's not a steak, it's an elk
Mm-hmm.
that I had to work for, and I had to, take its life. So it's an emotional process for me to eat pretty much, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, let's not be disingenuous either, right? There's not consequence free when you're eating vegetables either, right? I mean, unless you're going out back. My neighbor has a really nice organic garden. He gives me vegetables from time to time. But unless that's what you're doing, there's consequences to going to the grocery store and, grabbing the vegetables off the shelves and putting them into your cart. A life is a life. So the little bunny rabbit that's running through the field, and the combine runs through and grabs it because it doesn't differentiate between corn and a bunny rabbit. Uh, Dead animal's a
Yep.
dead animal, right? So, I say that kind of tongue in cheek and being a smartass, but if you're upset about an animal dying, maybe examine that thought for a second and be open to the truth, and don't just tell yourself what you want to hear, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it's as as a hunter, it's just so much more than, you know, an animal. It's you actually have a connection to the world, you know. Um and like you said, yeah, I've thought the same exact thing when I'm eating a salad, I've thought, it's not animal's home had been ruined. It has to be tilled up. That has to grow. It has to be harvested. You know, things will die during that period. And I've thought about that too. And I think that's just part of being part of the natural world is you actually think about the natural world.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just think you go to the store, you grab your groceries, and you go home. You think the in-depth version of it. Yes, I went to the store, I grabbed my groceries, but that salad had to come in on a truck, and that truck had to go to the processing plant. The processing plant had to get it delivered to them from the farm. That farmer had to grow it, had to water it, had to harvest it. That's for me, it's a natural thought process, and I really do believe that's from hunting and being part of nature. And I I know it's almost hard to explain because it's just been ingrained in me for so long that I actually think in depth on uh, everything that I eat and uh, pretty much receive from the wild. Any type of food product really is I thought in depth about it. And I, I I really can't explain it, but I do believe that it's from being part of the natural world as a hunter and knowing that everything has a beginning and an end to it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the in-depth thought that somebody must have when they're thinking about how horrible you are for shooting an animal, if they could only take that same thought process and put it into, where'd their lunch come from? Where did your breakfast come from? And put that same brain power and see what you come back with. Honestly.
Yeah.
So I want to ask, we've been chatting for a little bit and I got sidetracked a couple times, but 28 days in the wild, what's the craziest shit that I have to imagine some unreal stories, but what's the craziest thing that happened in 28 days while you're out in the woods?
Oh man. 28 days. I was really surprised. Usually during that much time in the wild, you see something insane.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but it was almost desolate up there this year due to weather patterns and stuff. But probably the craziest thing I saw and got to experience, and I actually have a video of it on my Instagram. Uh, I had a bull elk walk less than 20 yards from me. I just got to sit there and watch him. And he was so close, I could hear him eating and breathing. Um, and it was one of those things where I can remember every single moment of it, from when he came out into the opening to when he walked away past me. And it's like, and everyone back at camp was like, why the hell didn't you shoot this bull? And I was sitting there, I was like, I don't know. Honest to God, I don't know why I didn't shoot this bull. Um, it was something, if something came over me and I just wanted to sit there and watch him. So I watched him for like 15 minutes. He came in, just not a care in the world. Um, but no, it is probably the coolest experience, top 5 coolest experiences I've ever had in the wild.
Yeah, I know the video you're talking about, and I think you said something like you knew your hunt wouldn't feel good at the end if you had taken that shot.
Exactly. And because that was on, I think it was on the 16th, September 16th or something like that. And I was just sitting there and I said, man, I don't know why, but I'm not ready to end it. And I went on for another 14 days of hunting from there on out. And yeah,
Would
finally
you
ended it.
would you have stayed out if you would have decided to take that shot? Would you have stayed out with everybody else, or would you have called it a?
I I would have probably stayed for another couple days, see how everyone did. And then I would have gone out and gone back home, regrouped for a few days, and then probably went on a mule deer hunt for a few days.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's just, and then I would have probably been back up there and helped elk hunt and stuff like that. But definitely wouldn't have spent another 14 days in a shit. I think I spent 14 days in a row after that hunting. Um,
So what's next for you? What do you have on the docket? Any big hunts planned? Got any cool trips lined up?
this year's going to be pretty relaxed. I have one more tag to fill, so I'll be whitetail hunting through November. Um, then I'm going to actually take this winter and recuperate. Um, get my goats ready for summertime and next year. But other than that, a couple years out from now is definitely going to be a black bear hunt down in Colorado. And then possibly a drop hunt, where they fly us in, drop us off in the middle of freaking, I don't know, the tundra somewhere in Canada or Alaska, and caribou hunt for 10 days. So,
Well, that would be a lot of fun.
yep, that one's a bucket list. That one's in a few years here, hopefully.
Hmm. Oh man, it sounds like so much fun. I'll be keeping close tabs on what's going on, and hopefully we keep in touch. I'm sure I'll have more questions as we get into next year, suggestions, maybe some little tips so that I don't go unsuccessful. But I appreciate the chat, man. It was a lot of fun, and I hope people who enjoy this conversation go and follow what you're doing, because you've caught my interest for sure, and I appreciate how open you are. You're like very authentic when you're outside. You're just kind of like showing what's going on, and it's different than a lot of the other outdoor influencer type who, it reminds me of like a fishing show. You see them cast, and it's like they every time they throw their line in the water, they're pulling out a giant bass, and it's like that's not
Yep.
how fishing is. So I appreciate your kind of breakdown of what most people may consider like the boring aspects of hunting, but what is the majority of the time that you have in the woods. So I think it's important to see that and to get your perspective on all that. It's just it's really cool.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it. I had so much fun on this talk, and hopefully we can do it again. And I mean, like always, if you want to talk some more, you know how to get a hold of me, and come out to Wyoming sometime, dude. We'll go on a mule deer or antelope hunt or elk hunt.
Yeah.
Uh, it'd be my pleasure to
No,
take you.
I may take you up on that. It sounds like a lot of fun. Um, oh yeah, the who's the company that you're working with? You had mentioned early on. Is it First Form?
Yep, I work for First Form. Um, I'm a fitness advisor for them. So, if anyone wants to get in shape, wants to get ready for the mountains, wants, just everyday health and education on health and fitness, I do that. I make it super easy for them, and pretty much I give people a foolproof plan that'll help them get in shape, lose weight, and they just have to give me dedication to it. And but yeah, I do that on the side, and I enjoy it too. So
Well, that's awesome, dude. You do it virtually?
yeah, online. The app we actually work for or work through with First Form, it connects me with people. I'm able to help them out, see what they're eating, see what the workouts they're doing and stuff like that. So it makes the process of getting in shape and getting on, meeting your goals a lot easier, and um, makes it streamlined pretty much.
No, for sure. I hope people go and check it out. I know I do every night I'm watching you. You're religious with it. It's contagious. So keep it up. Where can everybody find you on social?
Social media is at Cole M as in Michael Simonson. Um, and then, I don't have really a Facebook page other than my personal one, and that's the same thing, Cole Simonson. And then if you want to see what my fitness stuff is all about and download the app that I work through, it's in my bio on Instagram. More than welcome to download it. Try out the premium version so you can personally message me. But I mean, to anyone that's listening and has any questions just for hunting, fishing outdoors, or is curious and just wants to talk and learn, please DM me. I'd love to have a conversation with you, because the outdoors life in general is dying, and we need to bring it back and make sure more people know that it's a lifestyle and not a fad, and it's not going to die. Pretty much it has to be kept alive.
Oh man, well said. I appreciate it a ton, Cole. I look forward to keeping in touch in future conversations. And I will take you up on that. I'm excited now. I can add that to my bucket list at some point, getting my ass out to Wyoming and shooting an antelope or something. So it'll be cool.
Oh yeah, dude. I can't wait.
Awesome, brother. Well, be safe, and I'll chat soon.
Awesome. Sounds good, man. We'll see you.